Hi there, what's going on? It's House, bestrevenuewriter.com. Here to tell you the schedule that a typical high-performing B2B salesperson would have. There's obviously a lot of ways to manage your time, but time management, of course, is going to be one of the most important skills that you would have as a sales professional. The most important thing is top performers, they know how to segment their day. They know how to use their energy, more importantly, actually, than time. In the morning, when everything is all fresh, that's when they're out there doing prospecting. Even if they're a closer, so to speak, that could be an account executive, that could be a senior sales representative, hunter, and then the cook type dynamic. They should always still prospect on their own. They don't rely on solely their lead generators for all of their sales. In the morning time, being on the hunt, placing their cold calls, placing their cold emails, definitely be one of their top priorities. Now, let's say that they actually have to do presentations. Well, they would know not to work on those things during the day. They would maybe schedule that at the end of their day. Depending on how dedicated they are, the really top performers, they're not approaching it like a 9-to-5 job. They're approaching it like a professional, a competitive athlete, a musician. You get the idea. At the end of the day is where they keep all the lo-fi activities such as data entry, updating notes, following up on some emails. But during the day, they are ruthless about keeping their time managed. They don't give it away for anything unless it's incredibly important. They work in blocks. First part is being in the prospecting phase. The second part is more than likely going to be filled with client calls. If there's no client calls, revert back to step one. That's definitely going to be one of the most important things you could do. The other thing is they know that researching for their next presentation, working on their skills, maybe it's connecting with their group and figuring out new ways to improve their messaging, coming up with new creative presentation ideas. They also know that their lunch break is sacred, how foods affect their mind. They're just razor sharp. That musician or athlete example, they know the importance of having energy, having a high performing head state. Now, somewhere in this mix, if they're doing everything right, depending on how busy they are, so let's say they just started, you obviously would spend the most time on sales presentations, working intro calls if you could. That's all you had to do. Typically, when you're first starting, your day is not going to be that clear cut. So one of the things that you would also want to do is lead generation or prospecting during the morning, sales presentations, and making sure they're as good as they could possibly be and that you're well prepared for them. The third step is list building, constantly refreshing their prospect list, looking for new opportunities. That could be something even like digital PR on social media. That's when you would make those comments. When you hear about social selling, during the day, it's not a good idea. A lot of young people have convinced their managers social selling is just going out and making LinkedIn connections or responding to tweets. That should definitely be done at the end of your day. It should not replace anything like calling or cold emailing, for instance. The main building blocks and how you would structure your day. So depending on what the biggest need is, maybe you would have a block of 5 hours in one of those pillars. If you're lucky, you did enough prospecting to the point where your whole day is slammed with sales presentations. That's a great problem to have. You should still never take the foot off the pedal of your lead generation. I've seen it happen many times where people, they have an excellent quarter, they sit back and relax, get a little bit complacent, and before they know it, the next quarter comes around and the deals aren't flowing in quite like they were the last quarter. So it's always important to stay right through in the middle. Don't get too high and don't get too low. Rate the wins, of course, but have the same type of mentality no matter the circumstances. It is an emotional game, but cooler heads will prevail. So that is how the typical high-performing B2B salesperson structures their day. Like I said, there's going to be a mix depending on the need, but for the most part, that's where they're spending their time. And however they break it out is up to them. But from what I've seen, the best have always done their prospecting first thing in the morning. No distractions. They'll see you next time. bestrevenuewriter.com. Thank you for watching.